Hibakusha. There's a large group of Hibakusha, the atomic survivors of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki atomic bombings.
Okay. That's Fukuoka?
This is
Shinran Shonin.
Shinran Shonin, yeah. So I'm just giving you the context first so that you know.
Right.
Okay, so they came, a large group came because there was to advocate at the United Nations, so non-nuclear proliferation. But they also spoke at various venues around the city to bring awareness and to advocate for peace and more. So I requested that a photographer friend, Francois Bonneau, French-Canadian extraordinary photographer, document, it's very important, these are elderly survivors, they're in their 70s, 80s, some 90s, who came to, on this mission. And so I didn't feel like a lot of things are happening in New York and they weren't, their efforts were, deserved to be documented. So we arranged for him to do photographs. It was very difficult because they already had a packed schedule. Neither of us spoke Japanese, so we did get the help of somebody supporting us. So these were some of the pictures that were taken. So this is like at the New York Buddhist Church. The statue survived the bombing of Hiroshima and was sent to the United States as a plea for peace.
Sent to.
Yeah, a gentleman hopefully he wanted to be at the United Nations. There was some reason why it couldn't happen there, stay there, but it came to the New York Buddhist Church. And so Hiroshima is here at the New York Buddhist Church. And these are two Hibakusha and the daughter of a Hibakusha, the next generation.
The actual photo, right?
Yeah, this is,
Whoa.
These are, so, and I'm going to just actually, and then a group came, so they spoke at different venues, and this one spoke at New York University, and so we came outside and the Union Square Park, and he took portraits of them at the park to show that they came out very far from Japan to bring the message across.
Right.
And so this is at LaGuardia Community College, where one of the advocates who lives in New York is a professor. And so I love this, you could feel, this isn't relating specifically to Hiroshima, but you can kind of feel the, the energy, the angst, in the statue.
Oh, wow.
And this woman felt it was very important to dress in kimono so that these Americans, many of whom have no experience of Japan, get some sense of Japanese people, the people of that time. Okay, and this is one of my favorites. It's these advocates spoke at Isabella House, which is for senior citizens. A number of Japanese Americans, elders live there. But he went out in the streets. There's this quilt with peace and love, and he brought him out onto the streets, and then I think this is a Japanese cherry tree that's actually in the background. But it's like the urban New York setting, Japanese here, peace and Japan. So so that's very powerful. And this is the Truman.
Newspaper?
What?
Newspaper or what?
No. This is actually of one of his portraits that was done. This is from the exhibit at the United Nations,
Okay.
and so this is the exhibit. But this is the grandson of President Truman, who authorized the atomic bombing, and he is now Clifton Truman. I believe his name is Clifton Truman Daniel, and he is now an advocate for non-nuclear proliferation. But he had about 3 seconds, the photographer had about 3 seconds to take this picture, and then he left. But for me, it's here's the past, what the world, where we are. Here's kind of he's looking at us in the present. We have the choice to make for our future. So that's my interpretation of what. So so the Pakusha voices and visions were peace. And then so it's actually in an ebook, so you can see, and their testimonies are with them that were done by Nihon
Why is this kind of thing not available in Japan, right?
Well, I gave a cassette to, like, I went to the Nobel Peace Center and I gave a set to the Peace Center. I gave a set to the Hidan, they were passing it on. I also, like, it got sent to them in their, you know, the offices, the digital version.
Yeah.
But, you know, hopefully it should be out because these are really evocative. You know, they show like the commitment of these Yabakusha. But, you know, James Cameron, the director, world famous director, is now, I hear, doing a documentary on a man or a young person at the time who was in Hiroshima for the first bomb, right? And then went to Nagasaki and then experienced a second bomb. Yeah, so, and it stayed with, I guess this man's testimony stayed with James Cameron, and he's doing a documentary, and he's the one who did Avatar and Titanic.
Oh.
So, like, the potential for it to reach a wider audience is, like, tremendous. So, I'm hoping that I'm going to make sure that copies get sent to, like, him, and maybe, even though it didn't get much exposure during the Nobel Peace period where the organization won or was honored by the prize, that in, you know, being connected to such a person that gets his media out to the world, that it could, you know, their testimony can live through his support. So so Bakusha, Voices and Visions for Peace. Photographs, but testimonies are by the Hibakusha.
Right.
So, but yeah, this is kind of like why, just sort of expresses like his particular vision. It was very difficult to photograph because there's like not a lot of space and like, you know, this woman. So he actually laid down on the floor, like on the, and shot up, which I don't think, who would have thought to do that? And also he asked them to hold their hands. I thought, ooh, this is not Japanese, right? It's like they would not, but it's more like that's how he saw it as a French Canadian and their message. So it's not just like what they would do, but they were willing to do that because this artist who respected their message, that's his kind of interpretation. And like maybe, I don't know what they felt at the time, but it, you know,
They looked
he certainly
awkward with each other.
Well, they might, but you know, you could say they look awkward, but maybe they're trying to incorporate or to, even though it's so strange and not what they would do, they're trying to honor his efforts, right? Because you know, there's, to me, you know, maybe it's awkward, but maybe it's like
determined.
They're trying, determined. They're trying to connect. And, you know, and she's looking directly, the younger generation. I think it's actually pretty powerful. And, you know, but when I was there, I was like, I was like almost wanting to stop him, but then say, why am I putting my concerns or my, like, imposition? Because maybe that's the whole point, is that this is like a world thing. It's not just Japanese. It's like we all have to come together. And if this is how he saw them, and this is how, like, a human touch, that maybe in Japan it's like, but it's like, you know, the world can connect, and then if their hands were like, they were, so that's like, these are the kinds of things that you can, you know, talk, like these pictures give, you know, the thoughts, like, okay, what's my culture, what am I willing to adjust or give up or experience newly, maybe, you know, like, it's like,
something better.
Something better, or something I I locked out of, because we don't talk, you know, to understand another, and to be able to communicate, and because this is actually very, like, you know, when I was like, but it's like, you know, when you're determined, like, if you're saving somebody, right, you're not just saying, come here, you know, you're grabbing, you know, they're like, so it could be interpreted in a lot of ways, and you know, I don't know how they experienced it, but this is the ultimate image that came from it, and I think it's pretty powerful, you know, so, and you know, they could have been uncomfortable, I just don't know. I wasn't comfortable, and then I saw what he was, and then I could respect it, you know, and I respect that they honored, they didn't say, we won't do it, like, they could say, I don't want to do that, but they sensed, I think, his because he is an artist, like
Yeah.
that, you know, there was something that,
Right.
you know, they respected
For him,
his,
yeah.
him as an artist.
Right.
And that they allowed themselves to be, you know, for creation.
Yeah, to be creative.
Yeah, so,
Into art.
yeah, into art. So anyway, I'm glad you got this clip,
Right, yeah.
because that's really
Got-
actually
it
very
got-
important.
Thank you.
Francois, you know, and all the honoring all the hibakusha, and then if they go to Voices and Visions for Peace, it's on like an ebook, and they could get the testimonies as well of all the people here.
Yeah.
So, okay.